Members, please sign in so we can take the roll. Members, please sign in so we can take the roll. Okay, thanks. Please sign in so we can take the roll.
How long are you going to be in here?
Good morning. The House Transportation Committee for March 10th, 2026 is now in session. Members, please make sure that you're signed into your keypad so that we can take the roll. If you're all signed in, we'll ask the clerk to take the roll. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 members present. You have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you very much. Any personal orders from committee? Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two job shadows today that I'd like to recognize. They're in the back of the room. I have Bradley Cooker and also Elliot Strickland. And if you would make them feel welcome, I would greatly appreciate that.
Any other? Representative Atchley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just saw my good friend Alan Blaylock from Sevierville out here in the audience. Just like to welcome him today.
Welcome. Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a job shadow. It's Katie French from Austin Peay State University on the front row.
Welcome. Any others? Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome all the road builders that are in the house today. We appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chairman Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a Morgan County leadership group in here. I just want to make them, welcome them to our committee, and I hope they enjoy their visit at the Capitol.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Any others? On a personal note, I have a special guest today. I have a shadow. His name is Liam Hawk. Liam, you're in the audience somewhere. Where are you? Stand up so they can. There's Liam. Liam, let me tell you a little bit about Liam. He is a seventh grader at Ocoee Middle School. He's a member of the Student Advisory Council to our Director of Schools, doing a great job, and appreciate LaRonda being with us today. And his aunt, LaRonda Cochran, who is a teacher at the Taylor Elementary School from Bradley County. So we're glad to have both of you with us today. Members, we have a busy calendar, and there's a possibility that about halfway through I may have to leave you and turn the gavel over to the Vice Chairman. But let's begin with item number 1, which is 2507 by Representative Garrett. We have a motion and a second, and you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2450 creates the Subterranean Transportation Infrastructure Coordination Authority. And we are continuing to work with all stakeholders.
Representative, I believe you're talking about number 2, and we're on item number 1.
You're on item number 1.
2507, the Airport Authority Bill.
Gotcha. I'm with you now.
And I believe you have an amendment on that?
I do. Let me get to that real quick. Thank you for correcting my error.
Not a problem.
The amendment that I'd like to attach, which I believe rewrites
I have 015072. Is that what you have?
let me make sure 050. I got 72.
Okay. Is that correct? I have 7. I looked at it wrong.
Okay.
Dyslexia. You
That's
understand?
all right.
You're right. I need a motion and a second on the amendment. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of attaching the amendment, say aye. Amendment is on the bill. Now describe your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only difference, even though this rewrites the bill, the only difference that it addresses was an issue with the appointment authorities in the Tri-Cities Airport had actually some appointments in Virginia. We needed to correct that to make sure the appointments were correct for Tennessee purposes. What this bill does, it reconstitutes all of our major airports where now we will have the appointment authority from the speakers here and the governor. So it actually strengthens our state's regional and metropolitan airports and focuses Tennessee's success on safety and security of our airports. It creates more of a uniform statewide authority boards to make sure that we replace our existing outdated authority boards and instead promote statewide governance of our airports across this state. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to take any questions.
Thank you, sponsor. Any questions from members of Representative Towns? You're recognized first.
Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you recognized me first for something in my life. I really appreciate it. Mr. Chairman and Representative, you know, I feel really good about you because you've always been a good man. We've done a lot of good things together. Fantastic things together, you and I have. The rest of you guys don't know how to work together, eat your heart out. One of the most powerful things we did of late is when we gave Dr. Cooper, recognized her on the House floor, and she cried like a baby because he gave her a big old bouquet of roses, about as big as Representative Afton here, about your height. Wider though, much wider, you know. And she loved it. The fact of it is, had we done it a little later, we wouldn't be able to do it because she had passed. She passed the following few months, you know, and she was eternally grateful for that. And in her spirit, I'm thinking now, airports, putting in new boards, help me to understand, because I'm baffled, what's the reason when Nashville has one of the best run airports, I thought, in the country? We have the people come in and testify and tell us how good they're doing, how much money they're making, how the expansion is going. Help me to understand, why do we need to do this?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While Tennesseans aren't the sole source of the funding for airports, we do provide, all Tennesseans provide for the cost and operation of our airports across the state. And so if you are an airport in Memphis, or if you're an airport in Nashville, or you're an airport in the Tri-Cities, or an airport in Knoxville, the only folks right now that are impacting the decisions made are those that live in those particular counties, even though all Tennesseans fund the airports. Now, I'm not trying to say they solely fund the airports. The airports have major revenues from other sources, including user fees, et cetera, from the federal government and from the state. But all Tennesseans should have some skin in the game as it relates to all major airports, since all Tennesseans do pay for those airports. So I think that is paramount to the reasons why this is a good thing to do, to make sure that all voices of Tennesseans are represented on all boards of our major airports, because people like to come here, people like to visit here, people like to come in and out. We need to make sure it's efficient. We need to make sure that folks enjoy their time here, spend their money here, and doing this will make that a whole lot better place for all of our airports when all Tennesseans are represented on those boards. So Representative Towns, that's the reason, or at least one of them, why I believe this is an important piece of legislation.
Follow up?
Yes, please, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. And are these people, it can be any regular Tennessean that can serve on that board. Am I correct?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The piece of legislation describes who can be appointed. They are appointed by the local municipality. Then there's also certain people of certain industries that need to be qualified to be on the board. So the legislation addresses who they can appoint on the board. So in other words, even though a lawyer is one, I mean, I wouldn't be versed in the world of airports, et cetera. I may not have the appropriate experience to be on this board, since I'm not a pilot, or I'm not someone that deals in the legal world as it relates to airports, pilots, airplanes, et cetera. But these boards have the discretion to appoint those folks that would have some knowledge on how airports operate, et cetera, in the legislation.
Final question.
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly where I was going. Because you get too many cooks in the kitchen, obviously you're going to mess it up. I know, I mean, I'm obviously being from Shelby County, I have to envy Nashville because of how well they're doing, you know, and a lot of that's because of the growth of the people that are coming here and so forth. I hate to see us damage that in any kind of way, and like to see it continue to grow. Now, in the event that Mr. Chairman, we see that this is not working, is there a backstop or some way to correct it if we do this?
You recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Towns, I'm not sure if I'm following your question. Can you rephrase to make sure I can respond appropriately?
In other words, if we find out this is not going in the direction that you want to see it go, and that we're not getting the right people to be able to maintain the level of productivity that we have at present, do we have a quick way of addressing and fixing it? You know?
You recognize.
As quickly as the government can respond on many things, this would be in front of us, I believe, every 2 years for rulemaking, et cetera. I mean, and then of course, legislation that can change
Right.
Year by year if they see some problems with how this is being created. We don't foresee that,
Right.
of course, but things that this General Assembly can do, we can do year by year based upon legislation if the need arises.
Chairman, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Members, if you could keep your questions quick and concise because we've got a long list and a long calendar. Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. What are the inefficiencies that this legislation is seeking to correct?
You're recognized.
I haven't addressed or said there's inefficiencies, so to speak. What I've said to do is it's going to strengthen the airport authority. It's going to strengthen the fact that all Tennesseans pay their taxes that we approve in the budget for all these airports. They need a seat at the table. So I'm not necessarily suggesting that something is inefficient, but I think we can make it more efficient. I think we can improve. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing down here as a member of the General Assembly, is find ways to make things better. And I believe that's what this piece of legislation does with our airports here, since all Tennesseans participate in its operation. And technically all Tennesseans, I think, probably use the airport. So if there's ways that we can find something better, I think that's what we do down here. And I think that's what this piece of legislation does.
Follow up.
What percentage of revenue for the major airports comes from the state?
You're recognized.
I don't know that exact amount. I believe this year we've budgeted $50 million as part of the fund for the airports. But over the years, it's been hundreds of millions of Tennessee taxpayer dollars that have funded the airport.
Follow up.
Yep. I don't disagree that, opportunities to make things more efficient it makes sense. I do think the takeover of institutions and organizations by the state is not always best. I think as legislators, one of the things that we should always think about is there another way to get to the resolution that we want without having the state override local participation and local voice? For instance, if the sponsor really believes that our state needs to ensure that there's some representation from people in the House or the Senate, the governor to put appointees, we could pass legislation that adds members to the respective boards while ensuring that that local voice remains there. What this is seeking to do is to vacate, in the first part of this bill, it says it's going to vacate every single one of our boards and these commissions that have operated relatively independently. And then it is going to have an appointment process. We don't know the effects this will have with FAA grants that are currently in the pipeline. We don't know the consequences and the unintended consequences of this legislation because it's so heavy-handed, because it isn't taken into effect those consequences. And while you might be articulating that there needs to be more efficiency, I've yet to hear you once say what that more efficiency is going to look like. Rather, it seems to be more the vacating of a board and the reestablishment of a state airport authority, which I don't think we should do. I think it's too far and it's too much when there are other ways for us to get to what seems to be your desired outcome, which is to have some more state input over the boards that currently exist. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You want to respond?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think it's an important distinction to make that it's not the state, but it's the people of Tennessee that have a seat at the table. The people of Tennessee need to be represented on these boards. And it's also important to point out what the legislation actually says about who's appointed, that it is people that are local that are appointed to these boards in the 5 different areas we're talking about. This is not someone that lives in Knoxville that's going to be on the Memphis Airport Authority Board. They're going to be someone from Memphis. So they are certainly having their locality represented on this new boards here. And it's going to be those that are represented by the entire state rather than from the locality itself. When us as a General Assembly, when Tennesseans pay into these airports, they have no voice. This piece of legislation allows that to happen, Mr. Chairman. So I'm, again, excited about this opportunity and believe this legislation works for all Tennesseans.
Next on the list is Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is really a simple yes or no question. There's been a couple of questions centered around these authorities as they exist today. And isn't it correct that these authorities are created by state law and therefore are subdivisions of the state governed by the state? And this is wholly appropriate for that.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Absolutely, that's a yes.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question has been called. That's a non-debatable motion. Do I see three hands? I believe I saw three hands on the board. We're voting on previous question. If you're in favor of previous question, vote yes. If not, vote no. Please open the voting board, clerk. Please take the vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 17 ayes and 4 noes.
Previous question prevails. We are now voting on the bill itself. Please open the board for voting. All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes and 4 noes.
The ayes prevail. Your bill moves to calendar and rules. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman, committee.
I believe you have the second one as well. Item number 2, House Bill 2450. I have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if I could take a moment of personal privilege, and I'm not on the committee, so if you won't throw me out, but
Sure.
my daughter is here. So I wanted to recognize Ella Garrett, who's in the second wave. Little honey, is everybody here?
There she is.
So I just wanted to recognize she's here. Thank you for that indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
This piece of legislation creates the Subterranean Transportation Infrastructure Coordination Authority for Subterranean Travel. We have been working diligently with stakeholders on this piece of legislation, which I think will be innovative. I think will be awesome if this thing actually takes off and where this is going to go. For example, Mr. Chairman, the subcommittee reviewed a fiscal note of around $5.4 million that this may cost. We've already been negotiating with the administration. We've gotten that down to around $1 million, so we feel pretty confident, but there's still a little bit of work to do. So if it's up to the committee, I'd like to roll this bill 1 week where we can take some more stabs at this to get this in a better form. Mr. Chairman, if you're okay with that.
Without objection? Rolled 1 week.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. Item number 3, House Bill 1708 by Representative Capley, and he's at the podium, and you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe we have an amendment.
I believe you do have an amendment. I believe, what is your number, sir?
015043,
That's
Mr.
what
Chairman.
I have. Do I have a motion and a second on the amendment? All in favor of adding the amendment, say aye. Aye. Amendments on the bill, and you're recognized. Please explain the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, committee. The goal of this bill is to increase public safety by verifying the Tennessee driver's license and license plate are issued to U.S. citizens and lawful residents. To do so, the bill does 3 different things. It creates practices for new issuance to verify lawful status, requires verification of lawful status for license plate issuance, and ensures the drivers can speak English. This bill will ensure that the driver's license issued in Tennessee will only be issued to an American citizen or legal resident of this country. All new issuances of licenses will require citizen verification, and all new renewals will require citizen verification at the time of applied renewal. There were some changes that we made in the amendment that you just voted on. One of them, Chairman McCalman, we had talked about this in sub. We've included places of worship and the other concerns that individuals had, daycare, et cetera, for the temporary driver's license. We also extended the time period for if you are taking it in one of the 5 approved languages for the Department of Safety in that temporary 18-month period, it went from 12 to 18 months. That's what the new changes are.
You've heard the explanation of the bill. Questions from committee? We have Representative Pearson first.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chairman. Right now, sponsor, is our department giving out any licenses or any real IDs to people who are not citizens?
You're recognized.
So I'm not sure if you were privy to this. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had an instance where an individual in East Tennessee who was over the driver's license department was opening the driver's license center before they were actually supposed to be open and selling driver's license illegally for cash from an individual and using fake birth certificates from Puerto Rico. So that definitely happened. And on top of that, they are issuing driver's licenses in 4 other languages other than English as of right now currently.
Follow up?
Puerto Rico is a part of the United States of America.
It is.
So those folks are U.S. citizens. The illegal activity, I'm sure, can be scrutinized under a different code or a different section, but that doesn't take away that fact. Here's what concerns me about this legislation. Actually, let me ask this question and then let's see if that's correct. You said the non-renewable and valid license that is restricted for an individual who does not or is not taking the test in English or one of the 5 approved languages, as you articulate, they have to reapply and they can only take the test in English. Is that correct?
You recognize.
Yes, sir. And what I had said, the previous comments about Puerto Rico, those were forged birth certificates from Puerto Rico. They weren't real birth certificates from Puerto Rico. But yes, they have 18 months after they get the original license to take it in English, the test in English.
Follow up?
And they're only able to take the test after that 18 months in English, correct?
Recognized.
And
Go ahead.
okay. And is the state providing any support for people who would be taking this exam after 18 months to learn English? Are we providing tutors, teachers, anything like that so that they can pass this?
You recognize.
No.
So we're setting a standard that you have to go learn English in 18 months to be able to take a test. But we're not providing any support for them to be able to do that to ensure that our roads are safe.
You recognize.
Correct. Yeah, we are following the standard that pretty much every other country follows, that you can take the test in our language and that all the signs are in, that the traffic commands are given in. You've got 18 months to do so. You don't have to learn the entire language. You just have to learn enough to pass the test.
Follow up?
Thank you. And this will be my last comment to my colleagues and to the sponsor. I don't like these types of bills. I think if you are going to mandate this, then the state has a responsibility to ensure that everyone is able to learn the language, or to your point, learn enough to be able to operate on the highways, the streets, the roadways. Because ultimately, our job here as people who are on the Transportation Committee is ensuring the safety of the people who are on our roads. And a part of ensuring their safety would be making sure that we're providing resources to help in that way, or at least offering that when people are taking the test in one of the 5 different approved languages. But the reason that we have 5 different approved languages that people can take the test in is so that we're having an inclusivity, so that people will be able to be on the roadways in a safe way. If we are remaking the signs, maybe we can have 2 languages on there. That's not an completely foreign concept to people all across the country, people across the world. But what does concern me is this intention doesn't actually seem to have anything to do with keeping roadways safer. It comes again from an anti-immigrant bigotry perspective. And I think that is damaging to what our intent is as people here, which is to ensure that our roadways are safe and that people who are on our roadways are able to be there and to operate in safe ways. This does nothing but put another barrier to entry for people to actually be able to gain access to what is a necessity in our state, because we don't have good public transit, which is the access to a driver's license. These types of barriers are not going to make our community safer. People will ultimately not even go back and get a driver's license after those 18 months, which means we're going to have more people who don't have driver's license, more people who are likely uninsured on our roadways, when we could simply keep the law as it is, ensuring that people continue to have access to being able to drive a car safely on our roads. That's why I don't think this type of bill that is not rooted in anything that the Department of Safety says is necessary, but is instead rooted in some political talking points for demonizing further our immigrant community is wrong, it's immoral, and it's going to make our communities less safe. And so for those reasons, I wish you would take this bill off notice.
Respond?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's no shot that's happening. Essentially, representatives, what you just heard, the argument that we are not for public safety with this bill. Let me just create a real quick situation for you. You're driving north on 65. Many of you have seen the big digital signs, right? If you're driving. Okay. One of those signs says, "Wet road conditions. Please slow down." If I can't read English, I'm not going to know what that sign says. I'm not going to slow down. The road is wet. I will cause an accident. That's it. Many other examples I can give you as well.
Representative Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, sponsor. And just kind of in response to some of the comments earlier, where I worked at a church, one of the things that we had as a program in that church was English as a second language. And so a lot of the individuals that were in our community, those mothers would bring their children in. We would watch their children while they learned English. And that was a free service to the community. So I know that there's a lot of nonprofits and different churches that do provide English as a second language course.
Follow up?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different apps and things. But here's the thing. It's not the state's responsibility to coddle an individual. Driving is a privilege. It's not a right. If you want something bad enough, you're going to go get it.
We have several people on the list. Representative Rudd.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you for running this bill. It's necessary, it's needed, both for public safety and for the health of citizens and non-citizens. It amazes me that we allow a driver of a commercial heavy loaded vehicle on the Tennessee or any U.S. highway that can't read English, that's endangering every single person here, whether you're legal or illegal on the highway. That has to be stopped. Of all vehicles, commercial vehicles, they're already hard enough to drive, and have unqualified people coming in here that can't speak English and don't know what they're doing and can't even find the streets to deliver. It's terrifying to me. And that is immoral. That is what is really immoral here. Anyone that would support people who are unqualified to drive on Tennessee highways, endangering every American citizen and non-citizen that is legally on those highways. So I appreciate you bringing this. It's high time it was brought. And it's also, when we issue driver's licenses, we need to make sure that we do it for the right reasons and not give them free access to every conceivable state service possible, which is what they need, a driver's license. But most of all, we need to make our highways safe. To put a major commercial vehicle on the road with someone from another country or this country that can't read English is it's just appalling to me, and this addresses that. Thank you.
Representative Renault.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sponsor, there were a couple concerns that my county clerk had brought up. I just wanted to check to see if they were rectified. Namely, the biggest one is that if the lawful status was required, renewal was required every year, it might present some issues with how they would be able to do that. In other words, they would have to potentially eliminate tag renewal kiosks and those kind of things. Was that taken care of in the amendment?
Response?
Thank you. And then one other follow-up?
For the record, could you?
Yes, sir. Sorry, my apologies, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, that was just my understanding that was taken care of.
Follow up?
Thank you. And then one other question in the amendment in number 1, I missed this last time. I think I might have had to leave committee last week for another bill. But there is on C on the last page of the amendment, it says, for purpose of this section, acceptable electronic formats include display of electronic images on a cell phone or any other type of portable electronic device. What specifically is that applying to? What is somebody able to show on their device that would be acceptable? And I guess what I'm concerned about there is that in the event with AI, could somebody use a fraudulent photo to show whatever that documentation is?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And forgive me, are we talking about the last amendment we had or the one that we just put on?
The one that was put on in subcommittee, unless your new amendment rewrote this one, I'm uncertain.
We get a drafting code for that?
013261.
I don't have that one either. I think I have that one.
Representative, without objection, we'll go out of session and I'll get legal to comment. We're out of session. Legal, you're recognized.
Joel Hayes, Office of Legal Services. Representative, the language that you're referring to is in section 2 of the bill under subsection C, where it says, for purposes of this section, acceptable electronic formats include display of electronic images of on a cell phone or any other type of portable electronic device. That is also in the Amendment 3, the one that was just adopted in this committee. And so it doesn't specify about let's see. That could be referring to the driver's licenses because we do have a law, I believe a statute that authorizes or asks for the Department of Safety to start a program for electronic issuance or electronic formats of driver's licenses on phones. So that could encompass that as well as potentially other documents.
Any questions for legal while we're out of session? If not, back into session. And Representative Renaud, did you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to respond?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the list is Representative McCallum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question has been called. We have, do I see 3 hands? Have 3 hands. We're on the board. We're voting on previous question. The clerk will please open the board. We're voting on, if you're in favor of previous question, vote yes. If not, vote no. Please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes and 4 noes.
Previous question prevails. We're voting on the bill itself. Please open the board for voting. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes and 3 noes.
Bill passes. Your bill goes to Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you
very much. We're now on item number 4, House Bill 2544. And I believe Representative Baum is here to tell us about that bill. Do you have an amendment? I don't believe you do.
No.
Okay. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Howell. This is a bill from the Department of Revenue, and it's kind of a cleanup bill. It corrects a typo in the code. It eliminates a duplicate set of definitions. It takes another set of definitions and moves them from one place in the code to a second place in the code. It changes terms. Let me give you one example. I'll let this be a different example than I gave in subcommittee. In 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court passed the Wayfair decision that allows states to collect sales tax from sellers that are out of state that don't have a physical building in the state. After that, Tennessee joined the Streamlined Sales and Use Tax Agreement that allows these sellers to pay these taxes in a streamlined fashion. About 20 states are a member of this entity, and it used the term volunteer seller, and so we use that term in our code. Since that time, this coalition of states has changed that term to CPS compensated seller. This stands for certified service provider. And so we are changing this term in our code to match the use of this language by this coalition of states. That's just one example of how it updates and modernizes the code. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on any section of the bill.
Committee, you've heard the explanation from the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Clerk, please open the board for voting. All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill passes and goes to Calhoun Rules.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, House Bill 2267 by Representative Hale. I don't see him. We'll roll him to the heel. Representative Is Representative Sherrill here? He's on this bill. He's just walked out. He's probably presenting a bill in the committee as well. We'll move on to item number 6, House Bill 1690 by Representative Hicks. You are recognized, sir. I believe you have an amendment as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. 015092, I believe is the amendment.
That's the same one I have. We have a motion and a second. Let's put the amendment on the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Amendment's on the bill. Please explain the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is about one simple principle. If you drive on Tennessee roads, you should be financially responsible for the damage you cause. Right now, too many uninsured drivers are putting responsible families at risk. When they cause accidents, it's not them who carry the burden. It's the insured driver, the small business owner, the single mom paying her premiums every month. And let's be honest, the current penalties are so low that for some, it's cheaper to gamble than to comply. That's not accountability. That's an incentive to ignore the law. This legislation fixes that. First, it requires proof of financial responsibility before a vehicle can be registered or renewed. Registration should confirm compliance, not just be a transaction. Second, it increases penalties for those who repeatedly drive uninsured. If you knowingly break the law, there should be meaningful consequences. Third, it modernizes our insurance verification system so we can identify noncompliance, efficiency, and fairly. And finally, it puts a cap on non-economic damages that someone can collect in court if they decide to drive uninsured. Economic damages remain, passengers are protected, catastrophic injuries are at a higher limit. This is balanced and fair. Members, this bill does not punish responsible drivers. If you carry insurance, you will never pay $1 under this legislation. But if you choose to ignore the law, you should not expect the rest of Tennesseans to absorb that risk for you. This is about fairness, this is about accountability, and this is about protecting responsible Tennesseans. And I respectfully ask for your support.
Members, you've heard the explanation. Any questions? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, sponsor. We talked about this in subcommittee, so I won't rehash those arguments. The one challenge that I have, and this is with insurance of a lot of kinds, when it comes to automobile insurance colleagues, your insurance rate isn't always based on your driving record. And so your cost can actually be much higher simply because people around you don't have insurance themselves. This doesn't remedy sort of that problem, that the cost in a lot of communities is just much higher, even for people who are responsible drivers. And I know this legislation is going to deem them irresponsible and things like that. But again, our state is not necessarily providing the support and the help, in my opinion, for folks who are dealing with those challenges of being indigent. And so for those reasons, I won't be supporting the legislation, but appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Renaud.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sponsor, we had talked prior to this. I apologize, I was missed subcommittee, so I don't know what was discussed, but I appreciate the policy goal of trying to encourage financial responsibility. I probably share a little bit of the concern that we potentially would be penalizing somebody more who already can't afford insurance. But I'm curious if the issues that we talked about were fixed the amendment regarding some of the language that potentially would strip non-economic damages from someone who was seriously injured just because they were in a car or were in another car that they really did in fact weren't involved in the accident, but could have been a second or third car in the accident just based on the legal language of the legislation.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was fixed about 14 amendments ago.
Thank you.
Let's see, Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I said in subcommittee, Chairman Hicks, thank you very much. This has been an arduous task. It has gone on for several years, and I appreciate you. The thing that resonates with me as you're giving your explanation is knowingly breaking the law. What we're suggesting is follow the law. We have laws in the state of Tennessee. Liability insurance is what is required. It's not incredibly expensive. As you mentioned in your comments earlier, some folks have been shirking the system for quite some time. What we're concerned about are the millions of Tennesseans whose costs for insurance have risen exponentially because 1/6 of our population, driving population, does not have insurance. So the cost on those law-abiding citizens is driven up exponentially because the 1/6 of our population who choose not to follow the law has been breaking the law. Very good piece of legislation. I commend you on your work and want to sign on as a co-sponsor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman Howell.
Thank you. Representative Alexander.
I too just want to say thank you for working so hard on this bill because it does affect all of our insurance premiums. If we get hit by people who do not have insurance, and we have to incur that cost. And so thank you. I know you've worked very hard on this and I appreciate it. Thank you.
On a personal note, as someone who was recently involved in a hit and run uninsured driver situation, not me, I was insured. But this is a great bill. Thank you so much for bringing the bill. I've not seen anyone work any harder than you, Chairman, on a bill, a piece of legislation. You've brought a lot of people to the table. It's kind of like threading a needle. But you've done it, and you've got the insurers on board, you got finance on board. I don't know who all you got on board, but you brought it to the table, and this is where we are now. So I appreciate the legislation. You recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is a lot of great people that from the clerks to the Department of Revenue to the insurance companies to safety, all the way across the board. The fellow at home that sort of got me interested in this bill. Showed me that there was a problem, Jason Westmoreland. There's a lot of folks involved in this bill, and it was truly an honor to be able to work and try to come up with a solution to a problem. So that's what it's all about.
Any other comments? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Clerk, please open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 18 ayes and 2 noes.
Ayes have it. Your bill goes to judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7. I believe Representative Raper sent me a text that if he's not here to roll it a couple of spaces, so we will do that. And he also has number 8. And we'll roll that one in a couple of spaces, and then we will take up number 9, House Bill 1712 by Representative Reeves. Have a motion and a second on the bill, and you have 2 amendments, is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I've got one that should be traveling with it and one that I'd like to add.
Okay. Okay. Let's take up amendment number 1. What is your number on that?
I've got 13276.
That's what I have. Let's take up that amendment first. All in favor of adding it? I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. That amendment is on the bill. Let's take up number 2. What is your number on that, sir?
I've got 14592.
Have a motion and a second on that amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Amendment is on the bill. Please explain the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a bill regarding electric bicycles. The goal here is to clarify some language on that. E-bikes are becoming more common across Tennessee, and this bill updates our laws to better reflect how the bikes are actually being used. State law recognizes 3 different types of e-bikes. Class 1 is a pedal-assisted bike that helps riders get up to 20 miles an hour. Class 2 has a throttle that also tops out at 20 miles per hour. And the faster Class 3 pedal assist bikes can go up to 28 miles an hour. And this bill clarifies that riders may operate lower speed Class 1 and Class 2 electric bicycles anywhere that traditional bicycles are allowed, giving riders and law enforcement some straightforward rules around that. It also allows local governments and state agencies to regulate or prohibit those bikes, similar to the language that already exists, including on state highways when necessary for public safety. That's the guardrail there. For the faster Class 3 bikes, the bill sets clearer operating boundaries while still allowing local and state officials to
permit their use in appropriate areas. And the legislation does raise the operating age for Class 3 bikes from 14 to 16 to better match the higher speeds that those bikes can reach. And I'll just note in summation that the bill keeps existing helmet requirements, penalties, and other safety protections in place.
You've heard the explanation. Any questions from members? C1, Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Chairman. And I've gotten a few messages about this legislation in particular, because it doesn't seem to show the separation between really what's an e-bike and maybe what's an e-moto or e-motorcycle. And that this ultimately would be creating what we talk about a lot here, sort of a patchwork. It's allowing one local government to ban or prohibit the sale of e-bikes, which typically don't go over sort of that 20 miles per hour threshold. And for some of these bike shop owners and local small businesses of ours, they're just deeply concerned that this legislation prohibiting or allowing the prohibition is deeply going to impact folks. When what I understand and what I am also seeing and have heard a lot about is really e-motos, right? Like it's the young people. That's one part of the legislation I agree with, moving the age range for those Class 3 from 14 to 16, right? Because the speeds that those are going, they're in essence motorcycles, right? Like those do need higher levels of protection, but ultimately the e-bikes, which don't go that fast, right? Allowing this prohibition could actually, have some adverse impacts on older people who use these bikes and folks who are not going speeds that are at dangerous levels. And so it really seems like there's sort of a bifurcation that should happen where it seems like, and you can try to clean this up, but it seems like what you're trying to address really are more e-motos, not necessarily e-bikes, even though they get mislabeled by companies that are just trying to sell them off as bikes. When if we just address the speed issue, I think that would suffice.
Response?
Thank you. And thank you for bringing up some of those points. What I would say in response is that this bill is not attempting to regulate e-motos, which are an issue and becoming a bigger issue because I think people are buying those for their kids and they do go fast. Those are actually regulated under another section of the code. And so this is not attempting to address that issue. And maybe that other section of the code needs to be looked at in the future. But this really recognizes that we've got some faster e-bikes on the roads and on bike paths and other places, and that cities and localities are looking for ways to better regulate those for their own local governments. I was approached by my local county mayor and local city mayors asking for ways that they can do that. In terms of, I think you mentioned that this can prohibit the sale of e-bikes. It doesn't do that. It has language similar to what already exists in statute that says regulate or prohibit the operation. And what that's getting at is in certain areas that they deem particularly sensitive, but only, I'll note, in the interest of public safety. So, but I appreciate the questions.
Follow up?
Thank you, Chairman. And again, I don't think it's a prohibition that's being offered in this legislation. I just think one of the downstream impacts or consequences will likely be that fewer people are going to go into these small businesses to get e-bikes. When, again, I think what it sounded like, at least in your explanation that you're trying to address, may actually fit better with e-motos rather than e-bikes, because you're looking at speed. You're talking about increasing the age requirements. And the fact is, these bikes, they're like 20 miles or less, right? They don't go that fast. And so that's why, again, I think I understand the intent, but I think the avenue just isn't the correct one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does each class, or do they define how many cc's these bikes are?
You recognize?
I am not an expert in bikes or CCs, but it talks about how fast they go and whether they're pedal assisted or not.
Follow up?
And if it's over 50 cc's, would they have to have a license like I think the current state law is?
You recognize?
I still don't know what a CC is, but a class 3 goes up to 28 miles an hour.
Follow up?
Could we go out of session, that's legal, and see if it?
Without objection, out of session, legal, you recognize.
Joel Hayes, Office of Legal Services. Representative, Electric bicycles do not use a CC determination. That's for an internal combustion engine. The definition of electric bicycle instead uses, limits it to the number of watts. And the definition basically states electric bicycle, which would include class 1, class 2, and class 3. Electric bicycle means a device upon which any person may ride that is equipped with 2 or 3 wheels, any of which is 20 inches or more in diameter, fully operable pedals for human propulsion, and an electric motor of less than 750 watts.
And on combustible engines, is there a definition on speeds?
You're right.
That would not apply here, but I believe that is for a definition of where we get into CCs, might be for motorized bicycles, and I think it might be a 50 cc limit. But if you give me just a moment, I can confirm.
I was just making sure it didn't conflict with that. So.
No, it would not conflict. Motorized bicycles are treated differently than electric bicycles.
Thank you.
Chairman John, question for legal?
Thank you, sir. Yes, my question is around current regulations on just regular pedal bicycles, non-motorized, non-electric. Do we allow municipalities to regulate where bicycles can go, how they operate on roads and other places, or motorcycles, either one? Do we allow municipalities to tighten state law in essence?
You reckon?
I would have to research that further.
Okay. Any other questions for legal? Seeing none. Going back into session, and did you have another question, Representative?
That is my question then for the sponsor. Do we allow municipalities currently to regulate the operation of bicycles or motorcycles within their jurisdictions?
You recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We actually do, and I'll read from the current statute. A local government or state agency having jurisdiction over any part of any path or trail where bicycles are authorized to travel may regulate or prohibit by resolution or ordinance, if a state government or by rule or policy of a state agency, the operation of a class 1 or class 2 electric bicycle on that path or trail. If the local government or state agency determines that the regulation or prohibition is necessary in the interest of public safety. What this does is it shifts some of the authority over streets into the purview of the local government as well. And that plus moving up the operating age for class 3 from 14 to 16. Those are the primary differences.
Follow up?
So you're saying that this increases the ability, changes the ability of a municipality to regulate not only the e-bikes, but now bicycles and motorcycles on public streets. Is that
You
correct?
recognize?
No, I need to clarify, this is for e-bikes only. So already they have some authority over e-bikes, but they don't, under the current statute, necessarily have that under their own roadways. And so we're trying to give that flexibility to local governments who frankly know the roads that they have jurisdiction over better than the state does. And that's what this bill does. It doesn't address motorcycles or anything else, just e-bikes.
Follow up?
And again, I'm trying to get at the current law. Do we allow municipalities to regulate bicycles and motorcycles on public streets within their jurisdiction?
Sorry.
Follow up?
I don't have that section of code in front of me. I'm only focused on e-bikes. I can tell you that right now, as to e-bikes, it says a class 1 or class 2 electric bicycle may be operated on any part of a street or highway where bicycles are authorized to travel. And we've got, because e-bikes are proliferating, especially the faster ones and younger operators, localities are looking for ways to better regulate where those ought to travel in the interest of public safety.
Follow up?
I just have a concern that we might be giving municipalities more authority over things that they haven't had authority over, such as bicycles. I know when I grew up, my brothers and I rode our bicycle down the street all over Paris, Tennessee. And I don't know if that was under a state law or if the locals just didn't have an ordinance against it. And so I'm just concerned about constricting what the public can do with what the state already authorizes. So that's my concern here.
You recognize.
Yeah, and I appreciate that concern. And I will say that, again, this is only the operation of electric bicycles. It does not address bicycles or motorcycles or anything else. And I too took my 10 speed across town when I was younger. And so to my knowledge, that is under the locality to authorize, but I just, that's not what this bill does.
Next on the list, Representative Renault.
He answered my question already. Thank you.
Okay. No one else is on the list. Are we ready to vote? Question is called on the bill. Madam Clerk, please open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 ayes, 4 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Bill passes and goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Up next, item number 10 by Representative Love, House Bill 1942. I have a motion and I have a second, and you do not have an amendment. You recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. House Bill 1942 is a piece of legislation that will update the 2021 Precious Cargo Act. It will allow persons who would like to request to have put on their driver's license an indicator that they do have communication issues, predominantly for situations where a person may have a medical issue in communicating, for those who may have a speech impediment and want to have on their driver's license this indication. So if they do get pulled over by the police, they can then show their license, and the officer will know then that the delay in response is not because the person is not desiring to respond or is objecting to responding, but they may be having an issue in communicating. That's all this piece of legislation does.
Okay. And this is a permissive bill, is that right?
Correct.
Sponsor, thank you. Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Towns.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Leader Love, thank you for the bill. Years ago, we did something like this where you can put a placard in the back of the car. So when the officer stops you, he has a preconceived understanding, a little better understanding of what's going on with you in the car. And I think it's done very well. I think this is a good bill. And if you don't mind, I'd like to sign on it as well. So thank you for the bill.
Thank you.
Are we ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 20 ayes and 0 noes.
Ayes have it. Bill passes and goes to calendar and rules. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Item number 10, Chairman Rudd, you're recognized. And we do have an amendment, don't we?
I believe was that put on in sub 13986?
That's it. Have a motion and second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Amendment is on the bill, and I just broke the hammer. It's a first for me.
That's good luck.
Anybody have any glue? We'll get a new one. I'm sorry, Chairman Rudd, you're recognized.
Thank you,
guys,
Mr.
hang on. There we go. You're recognized.
Out of order. Thank you. Yeah, this has been a needed bill. It's a bill actually everyone that I'm aware of has deferred on, and has or either been in support of. So, the legislature, before most of us got there, passed a bill for school buses that we use, that they have a 300,000 mile limit and 15 years of operation. However, this has captured some of the Boys and Girls Clubs, churches, other activity centers for use on after-school activities. These private nonprofit organizations can't afford to buy new school buses. Many of the ones they buy is used. So this is these buses have limited use. So what we're going to do on this is lower it to 15 years from 20 years, and from 300,000 to 200,000. And instead of one inspection a year, they'll have 2 at their expense, and to make sure they're still in good working order. And that is what the bill does. It makes this exception for after-school activities.
Any questions for sponsor? Representative McAlvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and sponsor. Thank you for bringing this bill. I think it's, as you said, needed with the improvements we've had in diesel technology over the years. I mean, the efficiency of these engines are far greater and they're lasting longer. So why get rid of something that's still good? So I'm glad you brought this bill, sir.
Representative Ashley.
Move previous question.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting. Madam Clerk, please open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no.
I appreciate you.
Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 20 ayes and 0 noes.
Let's see if this hammer works. It does. Bill passes. You're headed to calendar and rules, Chairman Rutt. Thank you very much. We're going to go back now to item number 5. I see Representative Hale is in the room, and we will recognize him. House Bill number 2267. We have a motion and a second. We have no amendments. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. Pretty simple bill here. What this does is this removes the speed limit restriction for the use of UTVs on state highways, county roads. This was brought to me by some nurserymen and farmers where they've got a farm on one road and a farm on another, and they're having to go down state highways with 55 mile an hour speed limit. So this just removes that and allows them. Department of Safety is good with it. We gave it to them, let them work to make sure the language met them, so everybody's good with it. So with that, I stand for question.
You heard the sponsors' comments. Any questions? We are ready to vote. Please open the voting board. All in favor say yes. All opposed say no. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 21 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill passes and goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you. We are back now to item number 7 on your calendar. Representative Raper, House Bill 1824. We have a motion and a second on the bill. Now we need one on the amendment. We have an amendment. Have a motion and a second on the amendment. Let me make sure that we've got the right amendment. What is your amendment number?
14185.
That's
Mr.
it.
Chair.
So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. Ayes have it. Amendments is on the bill. Please explain the bill, Representative.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As introduced, this bill requires each safety area that provides restrooms for public to provide access to at least one family restroom. As of now, we currently got 14 family restrooms of our total 19. We are asking that a comprehensive plan be made to say how long that it's going to take to have these built, and the remaining 13 to be built according to the timeline TDOT creates in their comprehensive plan. Mr. Klein is here if for any testimony. I will say, and I'm going to look at him and make sure he nods, that he is supportive of this bill. And if anybody'd like him testimony, please do so. But other than that, renew my motion.
Representative Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this legislation. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the family bathrooms, aren't they going to include the adult changing tables in that plan as well?
You're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. That is correct.
Thank you. That's very important. So I appreciate it.
Are we ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please open the voting board. Please take the roll, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 21 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill passes, and you're going to finance, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going now to our last, I believe this is the last one. Item number 8, House Bill 1912 by Representative Raper. You're recognized, sir, and I believe you have 2 amendments on this one.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Let's take up amendment number 1. I have 13004. Is that what you have? Let's attach that amendment. Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Amendments on the bill. Amendment number 2, 14187. Is that what you have? We have a motion and a second on that amendment. All in favor say aye. Amendments on the bill, please explain as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee, and thank you again for last bill, by the way. As introduced, This requires the Department of Transportation to install signs or markers displaying language or an appropriate symbol indicating to motorists that a rest area or welcome center has an adult-sized changing table. This requires the department to publish on its website and the locations of the restrooms and welcome centers that have adult-sized changing. In the past, Chairman Doggett worked with TDOT and the governor to add adult-sized changing tables with a $1 million grant. And this is a continuation of the same mission. And what we do from this point is, and actually, Representative Davis alluded to it in the fact of we're trying to get signage from this point on. Anytime that a family restroom is installed and it has a adult-sized changing table, then at that point, we just want to display it by signage. And I renew my motion.
Members, you've heard the explanation. Any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Raper, thank you very much. I just want to make note, I put my finance hat on the last two bills, how important it is that we're looking to fund this transportation budget. And they're both coming through the Finance Committee, and how important it is that this budget document go forward to fund their two very worthy projects. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members.
Thank you very much. Response?
And once again, Mr. Klein is here. He supports this bill. But I also want to say that both of these legislations come because we have done amendments to try to be as friendly as possible with TDOT. So I think Mr. Klein also.
Representative Towns. Question has been called on the bill. Please open the voting board. Hold on just a second. Before we vote, we have a question from Chairman Russell.
I make the motion, we roll those amendments into one before we vote.
Without objection, amendments are rolled into one. Legal, if you take care of that. We're ready to vote. Open the voting board, please. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 21 ayes and 0 noes.
Your bill passes, and it
Thank you,
goes
Chair and Committee.
to
Thank you.
calendar and rules. Thank you very much. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.